I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you're at. Back with more Transformers, this time Legacy Evolution. This is the War Dawn 2-pack. This is based on an episode of the G1 Transformers show. If I recall correctly, this is the one where they go back into the past and they meet like Orion Pax, so the early Optimus Prime. Of course, they meet Ariel and Dion or Dion, however you pronounce that. So this is a 2-pack based on that episode, which I think is kind of cool that they're sort of having that. We also got the 2-pack of Alpha Trion and Orion Pax, who then goes on to become Optimus Prime. So I'm glad they're delving into these darker characters. Obviously, they're retools of previously released molds, right? In this case, I believe that's Cup, and then this may have been an RC figure. But there you go, nice background based on the show. There's Dion or Dion, however you pronounce that, and here's Erial. And here on the back, the War Dawn 2-pack, you get Ariel, robot mode, vehicle mode, which is like a bike, and Dion. And as I said, he's got some slight retool, but essentially he transforms into a truck like Cup. It's essentially the same mold, just in orange and blue. But just want to get this to display in the collection because I am pretty fond of this episode. As you guys could see here, Shockwave, Soundwave, and Megatron here that were also I guess in the episode, if I remember correctly. But anyway, let me open this up and show you guys what this thing's all about. So guys, here we are back with Dion and Ariel here from these Legacy Evolution 2-pack out of the box. I do like these right off the bat. I prefer this mold a little better than this one. Granted, this mold specifically is my first time kind of dealing with it, so but not too bad. In the box, obviously, you do get some accessories for Dion here. You get this little... this was the Energon goodie dispenser that came with Cup. They repainted it slightly to match Dion a little better. And he can hold this in his hand. Now, this really doesn't have any reference to the specific episode that these two characters are from, which is War Dawn, I believe, from the G1 show. I guess they just kind of had this in the mold and included on there, so it's something that you can use. He also, of course, Dion gets a gun as far as his accessories. And again, this is the same weapon that came in with Cup here. Just in orange, some nice little details, but nothing too bad. Cool little gun there. So also part of this backpack here, you'll notice these two sections here. You can tab these, you can take these off. They go tabbed in. They do provide, I guess, a bit more of a visual difference from Cup, and it's a bit more accurate to the way, I guess, this guy looked in the show. So that's pretty cool. I wouldn't really call that an accessory, but hey, it's included separately in the box. For Ariel specifically, you get a gun here. And this is got a pink there handle so she can hold it in. And the silver is done really well. Some really nice detail, but nothing too crazy. I mean, the gun itself is okay. And then that's pretty much it. Of course, you do get your instructions. If you've dealt with this mold before, you know how to transform it. This is my first time dealing with this mold here again, as I mentioned, so I did have to look through the instructions, but it wasn't anything too crazy to deal with. But hey, you have those there if you want to reference them. As far as accessories, I do wish it would have included some things that were more related to the show. So maybe perhaps including some Energon. Their cubes as a accessory would have been great. We don't often get those with the official toys, so I guess this would have been a good time to, rather than including this, they would have included a couple Energon cubes. That would have been nice to have that as part of the set. But, so this is all you get. So you could see, here it is. I showed you earlier the back of the box. So we'll start off with my thoughts here on Dion, or Dion, however you pronounce it. This is, again, really cool figure. This is obviously based on the Cup mold, which was part of the Studio Series line, I think, in Busworthy Bumblebee. And as well, there was also a mold of this used for the two-pack with Alpha Trion and Orion packs. This is that same mold as well. And I know there was also I think a Legacy Cup as well. But I'll show you those in a bit. But as far as what they've done here to differentiate those molds from this one, it's pretty similar. Obviously, the color, the hood section here in the front is different. But I think as far as how close it looks to what was in the show, I think they've done a really well job in reworking this mold. Like I said, they gave you these two sections to sort of add to the backpack and give him a bit of a better look, closer look to what was in the show. The head, again, is completely different head. Again, you guys could see it there, and I think they've done a great job. Overall, the orange is nice, deep tone. No issues with the paint there. And then, of course, you got your blue here, light blue on the legs, and some white that was painted, some orange plastic that was painted over in white, which, again, it's really well done. As far as articulation, again, this guy articulated pretty well. You know, you have elbows. His hands are kind of just stuck in place. They don't really move. No articulation there. But the arms and the shoulders, the elbows, again, you get some pretty good movement. Head, you can completely turn it around. He can't really look down, can't look up just a bit. The waist, completely, you can rotate this guy to your heart's content. He can kick, knee, 90-degree, and you've got some nice ankle articulation pretty much. So nothing too bad. I think I'd say actually it's pretty good. So you can get this guy some nice poses. Some, I guess, complaints on my end about this specific mold, and I also had this happen with my cup version, was that this specific joint here is really easy to come off. This was one of the features of that cup figure. They were trying to recreate that scene from the movie where, unfortunately, Cup gets torn to pieces and Hot Rod has to put him back together. So, you know, you can take this guy's legs and arms off and, you know, sort of display him like that if that's your thing. Obviously, this being that same mold, they kept that feature. But this arm right here, which is, I guess, his right arm, it's just really loose. So even sometimes just trying to pose it, it just comes right off. Or when you're trying to transform this thing, it also comes right off. But this is the only limb that I have that issue with. His hand's fine. The legs here are also fine. You know, you have this rotation here that you could do, and that's sort of what it comes off. But it does take a bit of force to take this off. So again, I don't know if that's some kind of mold degradation with the arm, or maybe it's just my copy, but just something to keep in mind. But again, I think this robot mode is really well done and probably my favorite one out of this set. Love the backpack, love these two sections that they've added in to sort of give it a bit more of a volume or likeness to what was on the show. So again, you could take these out and tab them in. Even though it's a bit of a backpack, but I think it's done. It's well done. You got I get some bit of hollowness back here in the back, but doesn't bother me too much. And then the legs here look really, really cool. One issue here with the legs specifically, at least on my copy, and I think I also had the same issue on my Orion packs. This section here is supposed to get tabbed in. Like you see, this part here is tabbed into the leg here. For whatever reason on this side, on mine, it doesn't want to fit all the way down and tab in. It just keeps popping off. I don't know if perhaps this gray section here may be slightly bent, but yeah, on mine it's just sitting like this, and I don't want to force it. Doesn't look too bad, doesn't bother me, doesn't get in the way. But again, just something I noted. But overall, I am happy with this figure. Again, you get his Energon goodies, which he can hold in his hand. You do get his gun, which again he can hold as well. And I think the detail that I've added here to differentiate this figure from the Cup figure, from the Orion Packs figure, was really well done. Love the colors. Really cool. So we'll put Dion, or Dion outside. I'm going to call him Dion. And then we'll bring in Erial. Now, this one initially, right out of the box, I was okay with it. Looked a little lanky, so I wasn't really too enthused about it. But once you get into it, playing around with it a little more, it did grow on me. I'm not too crazy about about robot modes where you have a lot of the alt mode or vehicle mode just hanging off the side. That kind of does bother me. You guys could see the wheels here. But again, you know, I don't know. It's something that does bother me a bit. Like sort of the same thing here on the back. She kind of just has this pretty big backpack here with the wheel and the front shield of the bike mode just hanging out. And you can display this like that or like this. I chose to do it this way. And I actually think in the instructions they want you to have this higher up, this backpack. But I kind of put mine a little bit lower here so it doesn't show on the back. She does look kind of cool here. I do appreciate that the color, the pink's done really well. Obviously reminds me a lot of RC. And I think the pink that's there, it's nice and shiny and bright. Same thing with the white. So again, no issue. And whatever details they've added are really, really cool here on the legs, the arms. Definitely Cybertronian in nature there. So it's really cool. Do love her forearms. They remind me of like Gundam forearms. They're pretty cool. And the chest, again, pink's really well done. The head, spot on for what was in the show. So you guys can see it there. Blue eyes, the pink lipstick, the white face. Again, very RC-like. And of course, she's got the hair with a ponytail. So again, I always find it comedic when we have these robots sort of looking like humans. In this case, she's got her hair held up in a ponytail, which is pretty cool. You got a little bit of a orange accent there. I don't know if you can see that. Again, as I mentioned, you do have this pretty big backpack hanging out the back. I guess that's just part of the mold. And then you've got a bit of hollowness back here, but I think they do a good job covering. Again, this is all needed for the transformation, so that's just the way it is. She does have this big sort of feet, so she is going to stand up pretty well. And again, articulation-wise, you can move the head fully around. She can look down, not really, up slightly. The arms can move, you can rotate them. Yeah, I mean, just about. You'll get some good range out of that. You get just about 90 at the elbow. The hands here don't really rotate. They're kind of stuck in place, and this would get in the way anyway. Waist rotation, you can get waist rotation, but you just need to be really careful because you have to untap this. This is part of the transformation in order to turn the waist without breaking anything, so just something to keep in mind. No ab crunch or anything. You do get, again, legs you can kick up. You could do the 90 here, just about. And as far as ankle articulation, the ankles kind of smooth, move in and out here, but that's because of the transformation. And there is some side to side movement that you could do. It's not a terrible figure by any means, but I would say out of the two included in this pack, she's probably my least favorite. Now I think in the show she eventually does become Elita 1, right? So that's kind of cool. You can see the side profile there with the backpack to give you a bit of an idea. Here's the back. But the front, I would say, is probably where this figure kind of shines. She does come in, again, with this gun, which she can hold in her hands. So again, there you go. She's holding her gun. Nothing too bad, nothing too crazy. But as I said, I would say out of these two figures that are included in this set, definitely the Dion or cut mold is probably the better one out of the two. I specifically got this because, again, I'm a G1 fan, so certainly was looking forward to having these two added to the collection because I do have fond memories of that G1 episode. Now, transformation-wise, I'm going to attempt, I guess, to try to do both. So I'll show you first, starting with Dion here. And don't mind me if some of these limbs, especially this one, fall while we're transforming him. But essentially, first thing to do is pull these out. They're held in by tabs. So we're going to pull those out, get them out of the way. Next thing to do would then be to take this backpack here, and it's not necessarily held in place. It does sit in there. You can fold this down, take this, fold it out, leave it out like there right now, like that. The next thing to do, and this is always a tricky part. This was a tricky part for me in the cut mold as well, and I really not too fond of it. There's a step here where you have to slide just this orange section around, and it's really hard. At least for me it was, to try to get a good handle on how this was done. But essentially, you got to lift slightly here by the arm, and you see the hand, it's already coming off. So I usually just take them off, but you got to lift up slightly. I don't know if you could see it, and then push towards the back. And you'll see it there, it starts to come around. This is probably my least favorite part of this transformation on this mold. I kind of feel like I'm going to break something eventually. So same thing here. I would essentially take this, and as I said, is you got to slightly lift up and then push towards the back. And then once you do that, you'll be left with something like this. If your limbs didn't fall out on your figure, right? Then you can take this, these two sections, and lift them up like this. Same thing here, like that. And you'll be left with something like this. I would probably try and point this hands towards the back here for now, so that they look something like this. Then you can take these two sections here, which are essentially the front wheels, and fold them out. So just take them out of the back like this, fold them out, and they are going to tab into here. So here goes into there, tab that in, and you'll be left with something like this. Then you can take this head and just have it sit there. Pretty much then what we'll do at this point is we're going to take this and just fold it back as far as we can, so that you're left with something like this. So take this front section and just swing it out as much as you can. Then take this back section and swing it out. And then what's going to happen is you'll see tabs here. These are going to tab in here to the front, so that it sits something like that. Then once you do that, we're going to take then these sections in the arms, and we're just going to fold them in so that it matches like that. Same thing here. You'll take that and it sits something like that. So for now, let's leave this like this, so you'll be left with something to that effect. So we gotta spread the legs here a bit to give it more room, and then you're just gonna have these hands sort of go in between them. Make sure that these are facing this way, like that, because they're going to fold down to tab in later. So I will show you guys that when we go through it. Okay, so we'll move on to the legs. So a couple of things to do here. Let's tuck the front of the feet in. So you're just gonna fold them in like this. Next is to open up these panels. There's a bit of a panel here you pry open. You pry that open, and you will see there's a 2 to 10, so two sections here where this tab is going to fit. Right now, this is what it looks like in robot mode, but for vehicle mode, you're going to slightly move it out. So it looks something like that, and it's going to tab into the upper part of here. So when you close it, the leg now, it's kind of stuck something like that. So same thing here, open this up, open this section up, move it slightly up this way, close it back up, and you should be able to hear that click, and you know you're along the same lines, and it kind of looks like something like this. Next thing to do is these panels on the legs. There is a bit of a sliding mechanism here, so I don't know if you guys could see it. You see that pin there? This slides back and forth. For robot mode, you should be like this. For vehicle mode, you need to slide that in as you fold this in forward. So next thing would be to do that. So we're going to do that on this side. There is also, again, a tab here that's going to tab in there. So you can have fold this forward. So it looks something like that. And just play with it. So you can then push that in and then tab that in here in the front. Okay, so now that you have that tabbed in, make sure this section here that you fold it out so you don't force it in there like that. So again, same thing here, unfold this slightly before you do that. And then take this and we're gonna slide this section forward and slightly pull it forward. And again, making sure that you kind of get that tabbed in there, and then you can slide that on the little pin that I showed you earlier. And then you're gonna get that tabbed in here. Next thing to do would be these two panels here obviously have to meet. So there's a tab in there. Just make sure you tab that in on both sides. And then that kind of just meets and sits in place. Then you can play around and try to get this tabbed in into a better position. So you'll be left with something that looks like this. And you're pretty much at vehicle mode at this point. As you could see, again, as I mentioned earlier, the arms just keep falling off on mine, but just make sure that they look something like this. The fists are going to go essentially tabbed in there. They're going to bend at the joint, and you're just going to tab them in. And then you're pretty much almost done at that point. Usually if this was cup, you'd be done. But for Dion here, we have these two pieces. And you'll see that there is a tab here, a little section that will go tabbed in there. So you know that these kind of go in place like that. And they plug right in. You just gotta sort of make sure, there you go, that they're tabbed in place. That'll hold it all together a little better. So again, the same thing here. You're gonna take that, slide it in, and then just make sure that these gets tapped in there, and then boom, you are done at that point. You've got the vehicle mode. You can take the gun here, and again, you can attach it either to this section or this section. The instructions tell you to do it here. I'm not a big fan of attaching weapons to vehicle modes, but you can have it for storage. I usually just put them away when I display these guys in vehicle mode. Again, the vehicle mode itself is really nice. Again, if you're familiar with Cup, this is pretty much the exact same thing. Not really many issues with the transformation itself. It's not bad at all. It's just, again, if you're familiar with this mold, there's really nothing new in it other than you know, these two pieces that get added to it. He does roll pretty freely. And I actually do prefer this color. You know, I do like Cup, but this color really strikes me. The blue and orange is done really well. Love the panels here on the front. Again, very Cybertronian, so got to give them credit. This is really cool. And these two pieces help a lot with sort of, I don't know, giving it more volume, if you would. But really cool vehicle mode nonetheless. So we'll put Dion aside for now, and then we'll move on to Erial here. This one is not complicated. There's just a couple of steps that do kind of bug me sometimes with it. But first thing to do would be to take her head and turn around so that she's facing backwards. Then we're going to take this little backpack here, and we're just going to swing it this way. You'll see, like, you can separate it, and then take, of course, the wheel and have it face forward, keeping in mind that obviously this wheel cover has to go on the front, right? Because you could put it like this, but that's not right. So it should go this way. Next thing to do here would be the arms. I would kind of fold them this way and then break them loose here. You'll hear a little click, right, for now. And then essentially these legs here, we're going to take the feet, fold them in, and then the legs is where most of the transformation occurs, at least for the lower portion. So you're going to take this, you're going to pull it out, separate it, and you'll see that they tab in. There's a tab there. Tabs in there, same thing here. You're going to take this, You're gonna make sure that gets tabbed in there. Then we're going to attempt to get this to fit around it, and you'll see what I mean in a second. All right, guys. So continuing here, we're now going to then try to play around with these legs and the whole torso. So essentially, you're gonna fold this way so that you're left with something like this. Then you're going to take these leg sections and you're gonna fold them completely around this way. So turn that around so that it fits in place and you're left with something that looks like this. Don't worry about it, it'll make sense in a second. Then these arms here, you'll see the tabs here. You're going to then fold them down into their place here, and they're going to join in. There's tabs here. You probably see it better from this side that you can click in. These sections here as well, they were like this in robot mode. You slide them down so that they cover the hands, which I think is pretty cool there. Then the next thing to do here is to take these and take these from the side of the legs and unfold them down. And you will need to match up essentially here and here to the tabs in the wheel. So like so that you're left with something like this. And then this section here, you're gonna take this and turn around and you'll start to see a bit of this vehicle mode here. So you got to play around with the legs because they do need to sit in place here a certain way. So something like that for now. Then you're going to take these panels and on the front here, and you're going to untab them for now. And this is where we get to play around with trying to put this in a good place, let's say. So these sections here, these flaps have two tabs. I have one tab here on the bottom and another one here on the top. These are going to fit in the leg section here and in the torso. So you'll see they're actually shaped so that they match. So the top one here and the bottom one here. So essentially take that. I usually do the top and then try to bring in the bottom so that I can sort of match them up in place. Like so. Once you get them lined up, then you can sort of get them in closer. So same thing here. You're going to take this, again, match up the sections and get the tabs in there. And there you go. Once you get that in, it all starts to fall into place a little better. And then at that point, you're pretty much done. Just make sure everything kind of fits in really well. And you could take this kickstand and sort of fold it down so that it helps the bike mode stand up on this one side. You can also take the gun and stick it here on the back if you wanted to. So you could do something like that. You don't have to do that, but again, it's cool weapon storage. This is, I think, where this I do prefer this figure in this alt mode. I love motorcycles. Especially robot motorcycles. So I definitely like this one quite a bit. I love what they've done here with that robot mode and, you know, having things fold in and everything's kind of tightly put together, right? Everything's in place. There's nothing loose. I like the fact that even though the hands are kind of hanging out here on the back, they made an effort to try and cover them with these sliding things. So certainly from the top and maybe even from the side, you can't really see the hands too well. But I love the whole pink cover here. You know, again, you can tell these are the legs, but it's not too obvious. Here's the bottom. Transformation, again, not too complicated. You do have to fold certain things in, as you saw. But I do actually like this mode. It reminds me a lot of the Junkion modes. You know, obviously they have their bike modes. So again, this is really, really cool. There's the exhaust for the bike. So that's that. So overall though, these two in vehicle mode, while I do think this one's awesome, I think this one's the better alt mode in my opinion. I prefer, I don't believe she actually transformed in the show, so this was not in there. But I would say out of these two figures in their alt modes, I do actually prefer the bike. But they're both really cool, I will say. But I do tend to prefer this one in its vehicle mode. Okay, guys, so here we are back with Dion and Erial here back in robot mode. You saw the transformations, you saw the alt modes. So here we are heading into the end of the video. So I figure I'd do some comparisons. But overall, I will say I am happy with this set. I don't know that it's a must get for a lot of folks. For me specifically, obviously being a G1 fan, this is pure nostalgia. So I definitely wanted to have these two figures in my collection just because of what the cartoon means to me. For most folks, that may not be a factor. So again, if you are used to the cup mold, you don't know who this character is, at least Dion on the left, it may not be something you really need to get. And then the same thing with Erial. The robot mode's okay. The alt mode's definitely way better. But it's not anything that's too bad. But again, I don't think it's a must for anyone's collection, unless you're a G1 fan like me. Now, for some comparisons, I guess let's start off here with the first two obvious ones. We'll move Erial out of the way just for a second. But the comparisons I wanted to make here, obviously, here's the other mold that was used from here, and that being the Orion packs that came in a 2-pack with Alpha Trion, sorry. And here it is next to Cup. Now, obviously, these are all the exact same mold with some retooling, and I think the retooling that's been done for this Dion figure is great. Again, they pretty much started off with this. This is the Busworthy Bumblebee movie. There is a different version, I think Legacy, or I forget the exact line, with different color deco, but this is pretty much that same figure. And they took this and sort of retooled it for this. But you could see there, the legs are all pretty much the same. The arms, the legs, the hand, pretty much the same. Where you see a lot of the differences, obviously, it's in the molding specifically around the chests. You can notice that. And then obviously the heads, obviously Cup's heads are pretty unique. The head here in Orion packs and Dion here are pretty similar, but again, it's a retool. And then same thing on the back here. Again, these figures are, at least Cup and Orion packs, are pretty similar. I think this is where this figure in the 2-pack sort of differentiates itself, right? You have those two big things there hanging off, which give it a bit of a unique look. But again, just wanted to show these here so you guys could see the differences or similarities on these three sets. So that's Orion packs and a Cup there. So we'll move them out of the way here. We'll bring Erial back just to sort of have the size comparisons with these two together. So there they are, looking really cool. Next is, let's do RC. This is there's a Studio Series figure of her, and also I think there was a Earthrise or Legacy. I keep forgetting, I have so many of these figures. But again, just want to show there, obviously whole different mold, whole different figure. The similarities being the pink and white color deco. I do prefer RC, even though she's got the huge backpack, to Erial here. But again, just want to show them together there for you guys. Then another, here he is next to DevCon. Again, this is a Legacy figure. And I think these aesthetically fit in a whole lot better. And this was a reason for me getting these two, other than the nostalgia on the G1 set, is having DevCon again, which is another character from one of the episodes there from the G1 show. But I think the aesthetic of these modes fit in really well with these two and with RC. So again, we'll move these out of the way. We'll put in some Decepticons here. Here's how they look next to somebody like Cyclonus in one of the sweeps or Scourge. And again, I think the aesthetic These robots always had this similar aesthetic. They had some very humanoid or human-like features, whether it was in the face or the arms or the limbs. So I think that fits in really well. They look really cool together. Again, whole different lines. I believe this was Kingdom. This guy's in the Studio Series or Kingdom. Again, I keep forgetting. But just want to show you guys there what these look like together. We also have a twin cast here. We'll move that sweep out of the way. Here's next to a Junkion. Again, looking really cool. Whole different lines, but again, I think they do fit in really well. We'll move twin cast there out of the way. Here is another Junkion. I think this is Crash Bar. Again, I have so many figures, I tend to forget the names and the lines sometimes. But just to show you the size difference of the Junkions, obviously his record here is much bigger comparison to this guy. He is much smaller than Erial and Dion there. So again, you guys can see them. So as we keep moving on, here's some G1 goodness, of course. And here's Brawn and Optimus. Earthrise Optimus Studio Series 86 Brawn. Really cool there. I think as I mentioned earlier, I believe she becomes Elita 1. So again, some ties there into Optimus. But again, I think that looks really cool together. So we'll move these two out of the way. Some Decepticons here. Here is a triple changer. Again, so you could see the size difference. Not that you maybe display them together in your collection, but I guess you could. Again, it's your toys, your figures. You do what you want. But again, there's Earthrise Starscream and the Legacy, which his name escapes me right now. But there you go, just so you guys could see them together. Okay, so the last two comparisons here to the Decepticons, a Reflector and of course Bombshell here. Let's see if we can get him to stand up. There we go. Again, nothing to do with each other, but I think they do fit in really well. So just want to show that. Looks really cool. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Oh, you know what? We do have one more here. And I forgot I had taken this guy out. And this is, again, very similar to the sweep. This is Alpha Trion, which came, of course, in a 2-pack with this guy here, right? But overall, I am happy with the set. As I said, I don't think it's a must. There is some nostalgia involved, specifically in this set. So again, that has to be a factor for you, whether you want this in your collection. Again, I think that cut mold, I think it runs the risk of being overused at this point, but I do like it. It's got a little intricacies when transforming it. But it's nothing too terrible, and I do like the alt mode. Erial specifically here, I'm not too crazy about the robot mode. I think the strengths in this figure lie in his alt mode. The bike mode is really awesome, I want to say. But overall, I think it's a great addition. You know, if you're like me, a G1 fan, and you have that nostalgia, you know, I would definitely recommend, you know, perhaps that you get your hands on this set if you can. But again, you guys could see them here. I'm probably going to display Erial and Dion here with DEFCON, and I think that aesthetic kind of works out for me really well. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for your very valuable time. If I missed anything, misstated something, you have a question, feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, thank you so much again for your very valuable time, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.